So let's review what we have done on the last class. On the last class, we have seen uh, all about what substance abuse is and what substance dependence is and how do we differentiate, and we have seen the classes of the psychoactive substance. We have also discussed each and every predisposing factors, which are the biological factor, psychological factor, and the sociological factors, sociocultural factors. Okay. Then under biological factors, we have seen genetic factors, we have seen biochemical factors, and under genetic, we have seen that children of alcoholics are 3 times more likely to become alcoholics. Among the twins, we have seen monozygotic twins. Some are more prone, or it predisposes them more. And then the biological offspring of alcoholic parents also predispose a person into alcohol abuse too. Okay, and under biochemical factors, we have seen why alcohol, when a person take, they become addicted, and why do a little bit of amount does not work anymore. They continue to drink because of the tolerance, and they become dependent, and then because the body is so conditioned to it, that's why they end up taking, right? So in the biochemical factors, we have seen that. And in the psychological factors, what are the psychological factors that predispose the person? We have seen developmental influences and personality factors. In the developmental influences, we've seen personality has got a lot to do, especially those with punitive personality and with punitive superego, and for those where the stages of the psychosocial, psychosexual development, which is given by Sigmund Freud, those which are fixed in the oral stage, who could not go where the transition have not been able to take place smoothly. And then we have also seen that most of the people, they take alcohol to control panic, to have a feel good feeling, that feel good factor. Okay, so these are the developmental influence. In the personality factors, we have seen what type of personality usually switch to use or abuse alcohol. Initially, it goes to use, then abuse, then dependence, then up to the dependent stage. Okay, so what are the personality? The personality is a low self-esteem, those who have frequent depression, those who are almost more or less sad, they need something to boost them up. Okay, inability to relax, and those who could not defer gratification, and those who always keep stuff to themselves, and they're stressed out, they don't want to talk out, so they resort to alcohol use, and those with antisocial personality. Then we have also discussed about the social cultural factors, which are the social learning, conditioning, and cultural and ethnic influences. Now, in social learning, we have seen that substance use, alcohol use takes place right from, a person learn. From where do they learn? The first school is the family. So first social learning is from the family. The other learning is from peers, and the other one is the work in the workplace, where modeling takes place, conditioning takes place from there. Okay. Then and here comes about conditioning. When does a person becomes conditioned to it? Okay, a person becomes conditioned when a person, it works under, as we have seen. We have seen about, you all know the theory of conditioning and the principle behind classical conditioning and operant conditioning, which is positive reinforcement and negative reinforcement. Please keep this in mind, and please try to relate this conditioning whenever you try to understand a patient who is abusing alcohol, or who is abusing the other substance, which we will be dealing afterwards at the end of this alcohol class. And please understand this theory. Keep in mind how this conditioning theory and the conditioning principle help even in the treatment or in the therapy when we want to help the person to come out of the or when we help them to come out of the dependence or the dependent state. Okay, so we will the other one is cultural and ethnic influences. The cultural over here it got I mean the link went off in the last class. And this was the last slide that we have learned in the last class. Cultural and ethnic influences. From all that we have seen, we all know, if you will recall, try to relate to the biopsychosocial model. Each and every person have the influence or are being directly or indirectly influenced by the society or the culture that they belong to. Okay, so the same with the substance dependent. Okay, the alcohol use. Now, we have studied we have studied the substance abuse, we have studied the substance dependent, we have seen the predisposing factors. Now we will today we will see more about alcohol. Okay, what alcohol is all about, what it does to the body, and what are the different types, different phases or stages that a person goes when he abuses alcohol, and then how do we help them. Okay, so let's try to understand what alcohol is all about. Now, is alcohol, we all know alcohol is alcohol bad? Now, history says alcohol is not bad. Okay, when if you will see research profile and if you will see research articles in the olden days, most of the time they add a bit of alcohol for the treatment of many mental health illnesses. Okay, so let's try to understand now. To understand why alcohol has so much effect on the body, we have to understand what is the whole profile. Like I have my profile, you have your profile, each and everyone have their profile. Right now, what is the profile of the alcohol? Let's try to understand this. So, profile is a natural substance form. Alcohol is a natural substance formed by the reaction of fermenting sugar with yeast spores. Okay, now, so we all know they make alcohol from, they add the alcohol with the fermenting and with the yeast, okay, the spores of that. Right, and then they ferment it, so the reaction that gives the alcohol. Okay, now different alcoholic beverages are produced by using different sources of sugar for the fermentation process. That's why we have different types of alcoholic drinks, like beer, like wine, like whiskey, like rum. Okay, like rice beer, and then like all those different local drinks that they make. Okay, so how does it come out? From the way from the fermentation process. So the alcohol content varies by the type of beverage. Those very hard drinks, those high, very costly drinks, okay? The content of alcohol is, there the content varies, beer also varies. Okay, now, so alcohol content varies by the type of the beverage. Now, let's continue. For example, most American beers contain 3 to 6% alcohol. Beer, okay? Wine contains an average of 10 to 20%, and distilled beverages ranges from 40 to 50% alcohol, which means the more the distilled is the alcohol, the more is the percentage of it. Okay, that's why alcohol, when you will take the history, mostly those who drink high-fi ones, okay, those very costly ones, this describe why there are different costs to alcohol drinks. Okay, now the average size drink, regardless of a beverage, contains a similar amount of alcohol. Now let's try to understand this. Okay, 12 ounces of beer. See, 0.5 ounce of alcohol is there in 12 ounces of beer, in 3 to 5 ounces of wine, and a cocktail with 1 ounce of whiskey all contain approximately 0.5 ounce of alcohol. This explains why those who take beer initially, they don't get the kick. So when they take lots, right? So if consumed at the same rate, they all would have an equal effect on the body. 3 to 5 ounces of wine, then a cocktail with 1 ounce of whiskey. All these contain 0.5 ounce of alcohol. Now let's continue. So how does the body burn? Okay, the body burns alcohol at about 0.5 ounce per hour. 0.5 ounce per hour. From where does this come? See, if a person drinks 1 ounce of whiskey or with a cocktail, it has 0.5 ounce. If they take 12 ounce of beer, right? So it will take that 0.5 1 hour to burn. Okay, 3 to 5 ounces of wine. So the body burns alcohol at about 0.5 ounce per hour. So behavioral changes would not be expected in an individual who slowly consumes only one average size drink per hour. Now, please understand this. Everyone per hour, that's why they say, na, some they drink, they keep drinking, and some they drink in style. This is how the effect on the body takes place. Clear? Now, other factors that also influence the effects of the alcohol are the individual size and whether or not the stomach contains food at the time the alcohol is consumed. That's why they say drinking alcohol without food has more ill effects, right? Rather than with food. But does it mean that if with food it does not have any effect? It does have. Okay, which says that if there is no food, there are high chances of gastritis. If there is no food, there are high chances for the mucosal layer to be corroded off. Okay, so all these keep this in mind when we will do the effects afterwards. You will understand. Okay, now I have told you, do people drink alcohol from before? Yes, right from the Neolithic age, they used alcohol, and they used beer and wine right from the 6400 BC. The Arabs in the Middle Ages believed that alcohol was the answer to all of their ailments. Okay, this is in the historical background. And the word whiskey, meaning water of life, became widely known. Right now, the history shows that refinement of the distillation process made beverages with high alcohol content readily available. So by the early 1800s, one renowned physician, Benjamin Rush, he was the first to understand that there is widespread excessive chronic alcohol consumption, and he proved this, and he says that this is a disease and it is addiction. So it is only in the 1800s that a renowned psychiatrist or a renowned physician, Benjamin Rush, he is called the father of psychiatry, okay, had begun to identify that there is excessive chronic use. And this is no more a culture, this is no more a personality, this has become a disease and addiction. Okay, this is the history of it. Now, so what are the patterns of use of the abuse? Please understand this pattern, then you will understand why different alcoholics do not exhibit the same effects of alcohol, and why for some they are with many complications and why for some they are with less complication. It is because of the pattern of use or abuse. Now, Jelinek, he outlined 4 phases through which the alcoholic pattern of drinking progress. Jelenek's pattern of use. Okay. Now Jelinek have also given the different alcoholism also. Okay. Now, so he divided this into different phases, starting from phase 1, which is the pre-alcoholic phase, phase 2, the early alcoholic phase 3, the crucial phase, and phase 4 is the chronic phase. Okay, this is a class that describe the theory behind the use and the pattern use of alcohol abuse of a person. Use or abuse. See, the heading is pattern of use or abuse. So we will discuss this according to what Jelinek have given. So he outlined 4 phases, and these phase is the progressive stages. Okay. Phase 1 is the alcoholic phase, phase 2 is the early alcoholic phase 3 is the crucial phase, and phase 4 is the chronic phase. Now let's see those phases one by one. In phase 1, this is again according to Jelinek, okay, the pre-alcoholic phase. Now what happened here? From the name itself, pre-alcoholic phase, so it's initial phase where a person just started to use, okay. So this phase is characterized by the use of alcohol to relieve the everyday stress and tension of life. If you go back to the biochemical action, when a person starts using alcohol, alcohol breaks down, okay, it gets metabolized and it acts on the brain, and it gives that, I told you, it gives that reward pathways, it gives that feeling of calm, of peace, okay, that good morphine effect on the brain. So definitely it started off when a person used alcohol to relieve the everyday stress and tensions of life. Right, now why are there everyday stress and tension of life? Okay, every day a person exists, every day he has to relate, interrelate and act the biological, psychological and this biopsychosocial model and all those factors in there. Okay, so so how does, what all is there in this phase? Okay, now the person in this phase are those who have observed parents or adults drinking alcohol and enjoying the effects. Pre-alcoholic phase, okay? Because they have observed, they know that it's good, so they want to try, and they use alcohol as an acceptable method of coping with stress. They then automatically from use it went to abuse. Okay, then the tolerance developed and the amount required to achieve the desired effect increases steadily. Remember, alcohol use to alcohol abuse. When you start abuse, that means you have increased the tolerance level, so that amount does not give you that effect anymore. So you have to increase to the point that you need to take some more to get the desired effect. This is phase 1. Now phase 2. In phase 2 is the early alcoholic phase. See the name of the phase that Jelinek had given. Pre-alcoholic phase. Pre. That means they use alcohol, but they have not gone to that abusive thing, substance abuse. Okay, now here in phase 2, the early alcoholic phase, here that means they have gone to that stage of abuse and dependent. Okay, now what all is there? Over here, a person, that means he has used alcohol, the tolerance level has increased, and he has gone to continue abusing it even with physical symptoms. Now what are the physical symptoms? The physical symptoms, he may get blackout that occur during or immediately following a period of drinking. Then alcohol is no longer a source of pleasure or relief for the individual, but rather a drug that is required by the individual, which means at this phase, in this phase, a person has taken alcohol or has abused the alcohol, has become dependent on it. In pre-alcoholic phase, he has just used just for that pleasure effect, okay? But in this phase, he no longer drinks as a pleasure. The tolerance level has increased so much that he is dependent on it. Now, when he is dependent, so definitely he will, the third point is, there will be preoccupation with drinking, maintaining the supply of alcohol, and rapid gulping of drinks and further blackout. Remember, the body takes 0.5 ounce of alcohol to metabolize every hour. Right, the effect depends on how the rate the person is drinking. Now, when he has reached up to the early alcoholic phase, the person cannot drink. Oh, all that's drinking in style and drinking in pegs, that is not there. They keep drinking one peg to another peg. Then they end up drinking with half a pot, and then they go one pot. Okay, right? So they drink rapidly, they gulp the drink so that they get that desired effect soon. Okay, now the individual feels enormous guilt and becomes very defensive about his or her drinking. Does the person know that it is bad? Yes, he knows. Do they feel guilty? Definitely they feel guilty. Okay, now see, you understand, from use to abuse, the craving is more. So when they crave more, that means they have become dependent on it. Now, they know that when they drink too much of alcohol, it will definitely not give, because they'll go to blackout, they'll have other effects of it which may not be nice. And so the person feel guilty. Right. Now, when they feel guilty, but because the body are the reward pathway dictates them, so most of the time, if you doctor say, no, because I was sad, because I had a heavy day, because I worked the whole day, so I need to relax. So they become defensive about their drinking pattern. And then the last point, see, excessive use of denial and rationalization is evident. That means, have you say, why did you drink so much? No, I didn't drink much. I drank only a little. But when you will see, they keep gulping, which means the amount has increased, but they will deny it. Right? And they will give 101 rationalization. That's why I told you, when we have seen patients when during our posting, I told you alcoholics are very manipulative because they're very smart. They can manipulate, they can rationalize, they can justify, and then they're never wrong. Right. So there is excessive use of denial, and rationalization is very evident. This is phase 2. Now let's see in phase 3. Phase 1 is pre-alcoholic phase. Phase 2 is the early alcoholic phase. Phase 3 is the crucial phase. This is the crucial phase. Why is this phase called the crucial one? Okay, before they go into the chronic, okay, the last phase is the chronic one. Before it is here, either they come out and recover, reverse it, or they go out and they go to the irreversible, some of the effect which will end up with irreversible effects. Now, phase 3. Phase 3 is the crucial phase. Jelinek, he gave the alcoholics, or the alcoholics. Who is an alcoholic? Alcoholic is the person who abuse and who is dependent on who use, abuse, and is dependent on alcohol. Okay, and what is alcoholism? A person who drinks, the act of drinking, the act of use, the act of abuse. Right now, so the crucial phase, a person is in the crucial phase. The individual has lost control, and physiological dependence is clearly evident. You will know that the body is so dependent on alcohol, right? And he cannot control anymore the amount, right? This is the first point. The second point is binge drinking, lasting from a few hours to several weeks, is common. Binge drinking, that means they sneak out from office to have a drink, have a shot. They call it shot, okay? Taking shots. They sneak out, take shots, and they want when the work will be done, so that, and then they will find ways and means to have to binge in between. Okay. Now, anger and aggression are very common manifestation in this phase. Drinking is a total focus and is willing to risk losing everything that was once important in an effort to maintain the addiction. Even if they don't come home to spend time with family and with their wife, over here to now there is no gender bias. They don't mind losing anything. They don't mind losing their money. Instead of buying things for the family, they would rather spend on drinks. Instead of coming home and having quality time at home, they would spend more time with their drinking friends. Right. So Why? Only to maintain that addiction. And they experience a loss of job. There will be marital disharmony. There will be family disharmony. There will be some of the good friends, they will lose it, and then most and above all, they lose their self dignity, they lose their prestige, and they lose their self respect. So this is when a person has all this, that means he has reached phase 3. He is no longer in the early alcoholic phase, he has gone to the crucial phase. Okay, now what is there in the chronic phase? In phase 4, it is the chronic phase. Now, phase 4, this is characterized by emotional and physical disintegration. Now, you can understand when a person has gone up to chronic phase, a very chronic stage, he wants to give up, he cannot. Right? He feels he has craving, and then he feels more guilty about it, and then he gets angry all the time. Right? He knows he should not get angry with himself, angry with his family, angry with work, everything. It's like all disintegration, emotional disintegration. And already when the person has reached up to this phase, the alcohol has caused so much effects on the health and the body of a person that there will be a lot of physical disintegration. Now, individual is usually intoxicated more than he or she is sober. You will find them in this chronic phase. Morning also you will find, you don't even know. It is the morning gas smell or the hangover from night. They have gone up to that stage that they are more intoxicated rather than the time that they are sober. Okay? There is emotional disintegration evidenced by profound helplessness and self-pity. Poor me, nobody loves me. Okay, my wife does not understand me. My husband does not understand me. I do so well, but nothing. They only pick on me. Okay, they have more of that pity party. Okay, and they have a lot of helplessness feeling in them too. Impairment in reality testing may result in psychosis. Okay, later on when we will see the effect, you will understand why substance-induced psychosis takes place. Okay, abstention from alcohol results in a terrifying syndrome of symptoms that include hallucination, tremors, convulsion, severe agitation, and panic withdrawal symptoms. They call this. Okay, and depression and ideas of suicide are not uncommon. So when a person has come up to this stage, that means he is no more in the crucial phase. He is gone up in the 4th phase. So to wrap up these Jelinek, what does he say? He describes in this the pre-alcoholic phase, the early alcoholic phase, the crucial phase, and the chronic phase. In the pre-alcoholic phase, when they just take simple, they have seen others having fun, they like it, so they take it just to cope with stress. But tolerance has already taken. That's why they have gone into the pre-alcoholic. Okay, a small amount is not sufficient anymore, they have to increase a bit. Now, in the early alcoholic, there are more of the dependence in it. They started having blackout. Okay, they no longer drink it for pleasure and fun. They drink it because they want it. The only thing, okay, aaj to party to banda hai. Oh, chalo, let's meet all evening and to have drinks, right? So, and more or less, and they become very defensive and they will rationalize everything. This is early alcohol. In the crucial phase, the person has no more control over the amount that he drinks. He keeps on drinking, he becomes more angry, the craving is more, anger, aggression is more. Yes, he will feel guilty, but the reward pathway is too strong, the rewarding factor, the craving in them is too strong that they will try to maintain their addiction even to the point that they lost their job, lost their family harmony, lost everything, but they don't mind as long as they maintain that addiction. Okay, now in the last phase, the chronic phase, over here there's totally emotional disintegration, physical disintegration. More or less you will find that they are always intoxicated. Mostly at this stage they are early eye opener drinker. Okay, that means the minute they open their eyes, they want to drink. They have to drink. Right. There will be a lot of self-pity. They even may go into a stage of substance-induced psychosis. Okay, and some of them will go into depression, and suicidalization may also be there. Now, I told you, Jelinek also described these person who drink as these species. Okay, that first one, he described the pattern. He also described the species of alcoholism into alpha, beta, gamma, delta, epsilon. You all know this. Now, alpha alcoholism describes the type of purely psychological dependence on alcohol. Those who are psychologically dependent. Okay, there is neither loss of control nor an inability to abstain. Right, that means psychological dependence, alpha. Beta, alcoholism are those gastritis develop from alcohol use, but the individual is not psychologically or physically dependent. They have physical symptoms, but they are not dependent. So they are those where they have that culture type, it's their ethnic, it's their all that, huh? So likely to occur in persons from culture where there's widespread heavy drinking and inadequate diet. Those beta alcoholism. The gamma one are variant is marked by a change in tolerance. That means less tolerant. Physiological changes, there are more withdrawal symptoms, loss of control, and there is progression from psychological to physical dependence. Initially, you drink only because you want to relieve the stress. Initially, you drink just because you feel good, but it in the gamma one, you have gone to the physical dependence. It is most devastating species in terms of physical health and social disruption. Okay, the gamma. The delta one, delta is similar to the gamma. Okay, whereas in the gamma they still have control, but in the delta there is loss of control. Therefore, on any particular occasion, the drinker can control the amount consumed. Okay, now epsilon alcoholism. Jelinek called this periodic alcoholism is a top marked by binge drinking. This type, these species are those that go binge drinking. Okay, so the first one, Jelinek gives the pattern of use. In the second one, the alpha, beta, gamma, delta, and epsilon, he gives the species who drinks. Okay, now let's see. We have studied so much in alcohol. What does alcohol do on the body? Alcohol in itself, it's not bad, but the use and abuse of alcohol is bad, even a small amount. Now, should the person try out? They will say, oh no, only those who drink every day they have effect. No, we have seen on the profile of the body that some body react, okay, the profile of alcohol, right? Even if they drink any amount, 12 ounces of beer or 1 ounce of whiskey, it has 0.5, right? So that means the effect is there. So what is the effect on the body? Alcohol can induce a general non-selective reversible depression of the CNS. About 20% of a single dose of alcohol is absorbed directly and immediately into the bloodstream through the stomach wall. Unlike other foods, it does not have to be digested. That means when a person drinks, straight it goes into the system. But it takes 0.5 for the body. Where does it get digested? We all know alcohol breaks down, metabolism takes place in the liver. Right? 0.5 per hour. So you can imagine if a person drinks slowly when those not rapid drinking, so there is enough time for the body to to metabolize it. But if the person drinks fast, so definitely the content of alcohol is more and the body per hour will metabolize or break down only 0.5. So which means if a person continue to drink, how much alcohol will be there in the body? So and it goes straight to the system. So does it affect? It acts on the brain's central control areas. It's slowing down or depressing the brain activity. Now let's see one by one. What are the effects on the body? Now what does alcohol do? What does it do on the heart and blood vessels? Remember, the effects of alcohol in the body is short term and long term. The same thing, remember when you think of mental health, okay, when you think of any deviation of from the normal mental health, there's always a short term, long term. Short term goal, long term goal. So initially, so what is the short term effect? Immediate effect. Okay, what does alcohol do on the heart and blood vessels? The perspiration increases and skin becomes flush. Okay, but long-term effect is it end up person having high blood pressure. It end up the person going having a damage to the heart muscles and blood vessels harden and they become less flexible. Okay, this is long term on the heart and blood vessel. Now, what does it do on the brain and the nervous system? Short term, speech is slurred and difficulty walking. This too, I think you've seen in movies, you must have seen. When they speak, they say they mean something else, they say something else, and then when they walk, some they what to say, they drag themselves, some they have that S form of walking. Some of them they can all even stand still. Some they crawl. So the short-term effect is there is speech and slurred and difficulty walking. The long-term effect, brain cells are destroyed and unable to be replaced. Damage to nerves in body resulting in numbness in hands and feet. That's why most of the alcoholics, if you will remember there, they keep complaining, they always feel tingling and numbing of their hands and feet. Okay, now this is on the brain. On the liver, I'll do extensively on this and please try to understand because from this, a person who abuses alcohol may end up with cirrhosis of liver, which you have seen cases in medicine world. Okay, now what does it do in the liver? We all know alcohol gets metabolized in the liver. Okay, the alcohol that they drink gets break down into water and carbon dioxide. Okay, so liver changes the alcohol into water and carbon dioxide. The long-term effect, liver is damaged, possibly resulting in cirrhosis, scarring, and destruction of the liver. Now, what happened here? Let's see. How does liver damage takes place? Okay, liver can only oxidize about 1 serving of alcohol an hour. In 1 ounce, remember, 0.5 ounce of alcohol. Right. So I will end with this slide. Okay. With cirrhosis, and then we will continue the others. Now, so what happens when a person keeps drinking? There's too much alcohol in the body. So, bechara, the liver can oxidize only 1 serving of alcohol, and there is no way to speed up the process. So what happened? Until and unless the liver has time to break down the alcohol into what? Into water and carbon dioxide. Whatever alcohol which is ingested keeps circulating throughout the bloodstream. So you can imagine how much effect it will do on the other system or on the other body, the parts of the body. Okay, fatty liver. Alcohol interferes with body's ability to break down fats. Right? That's why the person ends up with fatty liver. Excess fat blocks flow in liver resulting in reduced oxygen and cell death. So if a person stops drinking, you will see, most of the person will say, please your liver, they are showing signs of there is fatty liver and it blocks the flow of the excess fat blocks flow in liver resulting in reduced oxygen and cell death. So if it is not getting enough oxygen, definitely the cell will break down and it will fibrose. So when a person stops, it will be reverse fatty. When the person go into cirrhosis, it is irreversible. That's why when a person come with these and with a history of drinking, we should give the psychoeducation. See, alcohol does this. Right? And the maximum, the organ that faces the brunt is the liver. Right? So, fatty liver, takes place, but this will be reversed. Now, when is it irreversible? When it is gone to cirrhosis. Cirrhosis means there is scarring of the liver. You all know what is cirrhosis of liver. You must have learned in second year. If you did not learn, please open your message textbook and see. Okay, there is scarring of the liver, no blood flow in scarred area, liver cannot function. So these symptoms is high blood pressure, abdominal swelling, jaundice. They have so much. What would I say? Peritonitis, and they will have to do abdominal paracentesis. You must have seen, and this condition is irreversible. Now, this is the difference between a healthy liver and the alcoholic liver. Right? Now, sometimes we keep telling people about all this, but why is it difficult for a person to give up? They know, they feel guilty, but they cannot because already they have conditioned themselves. So to change this, you club the pleasant effect with the unpleasant one, which we do aversion therapy. Okay, so I will stop here because the next teacher had come. The further effects I will continue in my next class, and then how do we help and how do we help these persons. Right, now remember I told you, does a person understand all these changes? He does. That's fine, no? But that craving is more. And then he cannot do anything. We have seen the faces, the emotion breaks down, all that disintegration. So how do we help them? That we will learn in the subsequent classes. Okay, so the stomach and pancreas, we end up to the liver today, and after that, I'll end till the stomach at least. Stomach and pancreas, short term in stomach acid increase, which often results in nausea and vomiting. That's why if the stomach does not have food, the effect is more. If the stomach has food, the effect is less. Long term, irritation occurs in the stomach lining, causing open sores called ulcer. Pancreas becomes inflamed, and they end up into having pancreatitis. That's why so much pain they have. Okay, all these are interrelated. So we will do the nerves in the next class. So thank you so much for paying attention to my class. Please read. Tomorrow we will continue with the other effects and how do we help a person with alcoholic who abuse alcohol. Thank you.